What is up, Terps fans? Welcome into the first 2026 edition of Fear the Podcast here on IMS Radio. Thank you guys for tuning in. Really appreciate all the love we got in 2025, first year of the show. Hope you guys are liking it. I wish we had a little bit of a better team to talk about, but we're doing the best we can, and so are they. So we'll hopefully see a revitalized Terps team here in 2026. Their next game is Friday at 7:30 p.m. against Oregon at Xfinity Center. Once again, I will be in the house, so if you see me there, want to say hey or just chit-chat about the Terps for a bit, feel free to do that. Both teams are 7-6 overall and 0-2 in the Big Ten coming in here. So this is not a matchup of world beaters, essentially. This is not the Michigan game, although there are some similarities because this is a good Oregon front court. It's the second ever meeting between the teams, which is kind of crazy that last year when Oregon joins the Big Ten, that's their first ever matchup. I get they're far away and totally different conferences and time zones and all that kind of stuff, but you would have just thought somehow over the years they would have played once. Before that, Oregon last year wins 83-79. These are two different teams, especially from the Maryland perspective. Actually, the three biggest pieces for Oregon are back this year, so that team will look familiar if you remember last year's game, although it's just not quite as good this year, honestly. They've missed their point guard Jackson Shelstad for a good portion to start the season here. I think that derailed them a bit early. So as usual, we'll go through the results for Oregon here, and we'll talk a little bit about the key stats, key matchups, all that good stuff. If you're watching this on YouTube, please, it's the one thing I'm going to ask every time. Hit that like button for us. We really appreciate it. I'm going to take any questions, comments in the chat, so just drop whatever you have. Always appreciate any interaction, engagement during the show here. Till then, let's go through this for Oregon. Their first game of the year, a win against Utah, 73-53. Utah not particularly good, so not too surprising. They lost to Stanford 78-70 to start early part of the season here. This is not a great Stanford team. I got to see them in person. They do have a freshman sensation in Corey, so maybe he was a tough matchup without Shelstad, I guess, but that's still not a great result. They barely beat Hawaii 60-59. They barely beat Rice 67-63. They did pummel South Dakota State, who's actually a good mid-major team, 83-69. They beat Oregon State 87-75. Oregon State not particularly good, so not an impressive result. They beat Auburn they lost to Auburn 84-73. Out of the Players Era Festival, this is another team that did not do particularly well out in Vegas. The Auburn team is not as good as maybe people thought to start the year. They were ranked 21st at the time and have since fallen a little bit after some tough losses, including getting thumped by Purdue. So the Auburn loss, not a terrible result, all things considered. They followed that up with a 97-80 loss to a not crazy good this year San Diego State team, and they rounded out Players Era with a 76-66 loss to Creighton. At least Maryland got a win. They played the worst of those teams in UNLV, but at least we didn't go home from Vegas totally winless. So Vegas was not kind to them. That's really tough. To start Big Ten play, they lost to USC 82-77. It's a good USC team, so that's a decent result. They also have since lost to UCLA 74-63. UCLA is struggling right now this season. Donovan Dent has not been the seamless transfer that people expected for them, so that's kind of an iffy result, I would say. They beat UC Davis 104-62. Not really much you can take from that. Beat Portland 94-69. Not much you can take from that. They lost to Gonzaga 91-82. If you'll remember, this is a Gonzaga team that absolutely crushed Maryland, so if you're going by like transitive property or whatever, Oregon being closer to Gonzaga is maybe a sign they're a better team. We'll see. They beat Omaha in their most recent game 80-57. So this is an Oregon team that's maybe trending here in the right direction. They've got their pieces back, and we'll see ultimately how things really click for them. But this is not a crazy deep team in my opinion. I think this is really like four guys and then just some others, realistically, that aren't playing at a particularly high level. So we'll get a little more into the personnel here as we go. But anyway, this is to set the stage here that this is not like a world-beating Oregon team, and that'll kind of factor in when we get to prediction time and things like that too. The name to know here for my money is Nate Biddle, 6'11" center. He looks like he's 37 and a half years old, which as a 37-year-old, I feel qualified to say. He's real good, though. Like, he will absolutely pummel Maryland in the front court. I do not expect Pharrell Payne to play in this one. I still think he's a ways away, despite whatever we've seen about him walking around campus without braces or boots or any of that kind of stuff, or him warming up for a few minutes. before the Old Dominion game. I just don't see them rushing him back for any stretch here, and we haven't heard any reporting to the contrary. Jeff Spin is on that as anybody over at IMS, and there's just not literally a lot to go on here, just given the state secrets that the organization keeps here with respect to injuries. So without him, Biddle is going to run wild, and honestly, I would almost like maybe just be like okay with that and not double him and just say, hey, like you're going to have to beat us single-handedly. We're going to shut down these other guys. I don't know. I mean, Buzz'll hopefully figure that out on the defensive end of what the best strategy is. But Biddle's averaging 16 points per game, 6.7 rebounds, 2.4 blocks. So he's just a big like wall of a human, and he's going to be pretty good if people try to drive into him. He stays vertical pretty well. It does pick up some fouls, so I think that's really the hope here if you're Maryland is you can get him in foul trouble. This is not a crazy deep front court, in my opinion. So I think this is somebody that, if you can get him in a little bit of that foul trouble, like I was talking about here, like that does limit what they can do. Demir, their backup center, is a junior 6'11" guy, averaging, let's see, 2.9 points, 4.5 rebounds. He's not going to hurt you. So that's the question. They have two good forwards in Kwame Evans, who's really good, and I'll get to him in a minute more, and Sean Stewart, who's kind of a forward type at like 6'8"-ish and not really a big. So they get small kind of quick here. So that would be my priority number one, is if I can get the Darius Adams of the team driving downhill and just hit Biddle in the chest, no matter how vertical you get, eventually you're going to pick up a cheap foul or two, especially at Xfinity Center. I would hope maybe we finally get a little home cooking that we've been looking for here. So that's really a big part of the game plan, I would think, is to try to get him in that early foul trouble if you want to have a real chance in this game. Like I said, he is kind of prone to picking up a few dumb ones here and there. So he only averages 1.3 a game, but I've watched them a couple times, especially out in Vegas, where he got into a little trouble here just by doing a couple swipes and reaches that he didn't really need to do. So that'll be big for you. He can shoot it a bit too. He's over 36% from 3 on 4 attempts, so a healthy volume. So just a mammoth, like big who can pound you inside and also stretch. Like he's a matchup problem for a Terps team that largely isn't very big outside of Pharrell Payne, of the guys who play meaningful minutes. You might actually have to play Colin Metcalf in there just to get another body out there and eat up some fouls. They went pretty small against Old Dominion, which you can do with Elijah Saunders, Solomon Washington, and some George Turkson. But I don't think that's going to get the job done here exclusively. The next name to know is Jackson Selstad. This is a matchup of diminutive scoring point guards between he and Dickie Coit. Selstad, not crazy efficient, actually the opposite of crazy efficient. He's pretty inefficient for a high usage guy like that, averaging 15.6 points per game, which sounds good on paper. And then you look at the shooting percentages. He's 39% from the field, 31% from 3 on almost 9 attempts per game. So that's not really particularly scary. Doesn't get to the free throw line much, only 2.2 attempts per game, but he does make them when he gets there. Maybe he's just, gun shy because of the injury about driving in here. I don't know. Turns the ball over 1.8 times per game to 4.9 assists, so pretty good assist to turnover ratio. So he will create for others. But I would just be daring this dude to shoot. And look, if you make 3 threes in a game, that's still pretty good and helpful. But like I said, the efficiency's not there. I do expect this to be kind of an ugly offensive game from an efficiency standpoint. And Selstad is a guy that sometimes it's bad for them, actually, if he makes one early, because he'll hoist 10 attempts up per game and finish 3 of 10 or whatever the case may be. And you got to hope for Maryland he's just having one of those off nights. Again, this is not a particularly big dude, so trying to make him a driver. You saw the free throw attempts. He doesn't really draw a ton of fouls, and he's not great shooting inside the paint or inside the perimeter either. So, bait him into the worst shot you can get him to take and hope for the best here. Kwame Evans Jr. Is a guy that's finally breaking out. I think this is a guy that's been on NBA radars for a couple years here, just given the physical tools. You may know that name from the Baltimore area. Also went to Montford Academy, like our guy Derek Queen did as well. Evans is a 6'8"-ish, 6'9" maybe, bouncy forward. They list him at 6'10". Maybe he's grown a little since the last time I saw him in person, but 13.6 points per game, 7.6 rebounds per game, 2.6 assists per game. So just sort of a versatile Swiss Army knife, jack of all trades forward type who can create some offense. He's good in transition. 1 steal per game, 1 block per game. Not a great shooter from the outside. 35% on 3 attempts. That would actually make him a great shooter by Maryland roster perspective. But I would say he's kind of like analogous maybe to somebody like a Solomon Washington. You can put him on other teams' best wings. It may be a little bit more of a big than Washington is, although Washington plays bigger than his listed height. The name here that doesn't get much attention for them is Ty Simpkins. Ty Simpkins. He's a transfer from Elon. Maybe the most consistent guy on the team other than Biddle. Like, he's just been there. He's played every game for them, and everyone else that plays meaningful minutes has missed a game. He starts all 13 games, averages 31 minutes, which is second most on the team behind Shelstad, who actually only missed 2 games this season, or actually missed 1 game. I thought he missed a couple to start the year, so maybe I'm a little off there. But maybe he's just limited in what he could do. But Simpkins averaging just under 13 points per game, 2.3 rebounds, 2.2 assists. This is the dude who's going to space the floor for them, though. And if you're a Maryland team, you cannot let a guy like this get hot. He shoots 43% from 3. It's on just under 6 attempts per game. So, like, if he makes 3 threes in this game, like, it wouldn't shock me. You can't let that happen if you're the Terps. Like, this is a dude you have to limit. And there aren't a ton of other great shooters on this roster that are going to play meaningful minutes. Like I mentioned, Sean Stewart is a guy, if you watch college basketball, you've heard that name. He's just been bouncing around here for the better part of his career. He started at Duke, where he didn't really do much. Went to Ohio State last year, where you probably know the name from. Averaged about 6 and 6. Wasn't great for them. Started every game, though, at the forward spot. Oregon, a little less consistently a starter. Started about half their games. He's not great. Honestly, just not great player for my money. I would take him on this Terps roster, but I would dare him to shoot. He takes, like, he's made 0 threes on the season so far this year. I would just, like, truly just leave him wide open and hope for the best and just see if he'll take a few dumb ones for you. But other than that, like, this team's not very deep. Like I mentioned, the next couple guys here, they play 20 minutes. Dedrick Lindsey, guys like that, they're just not going to hurt you. So this is really about, can we keep Biddle from going crazy? Can your bigs limit him enough and just keep Simpkins and Shelstad from having big offensive games? Evans is going to be one of those guys that honestly more so, like, I don't know, it's not going to, like, do anything too crazy. It's a lot of, like, hustle plays, efficiency. Maybe he's even a roller in a pick and roll situation. So, like, I don't think he's going to, like, torch you for 28 points or something like that. So it's really keep those guards from hitting a bunch of threes and just do what you can to slow down Biddle without totally selling out on the dudes who are capable of hitting threes. Just given Maryland's perimeter shooting issues, like, you're not going to beat them if they're making threes and you're not, but maybe if they're making twos and you're making twos, you can keep this close enough and ugly enough to pull ahead here in this one. So honestly, this is kind of crazy, like, maybe to say this, but, like, shutting down Ty Simpkins might be a pretty big meaningful moment or matchup or key matchup for this one. Like, Washington, if he evens out Kwame Evans, that's great. Like I said, Biddle's going to get his. You need one of the guards to do Shelstad equivalent production. So maybe you cobble that together between Diggy, Miles Rice, and Darius Adams. And then whoever gets the matchup on Simpkins, whether it's Andre Mills or one of these other guys, like, you need him to be locked in and not, like, get caught off ball. Like, Isaiah Watts having another big game would be huge for this team, because Watts is the guy most equipped to try to do these Simpkins-y kind of things. And that would be really big for the Terps team if he could string that together for 2 possessions. He's also the guy that's got probably the most similar physical profile to Simpkins, so maybe they can kind of cancel each other out a bit there. Like I said, I expect this one to be a rock fight. This is just not a good shooting Oregon team. They shoot 43.6% from the field, which may not sound great. It is still better than Maryland's 41.3% from the field. But because of that, like, Vegas has Oregon as the favorite by 3.5, even though the Terps are at home. I would take the Terps, just being candid. You guys listen to the show, you know I'm not a homer. I feel kind of good about this one for whatever reason. If I am Maryland, I know I say this a lot of episodes, this is a game I would try to get out and run as much as I can. Biddle only plays, 27 minutes is still pretty good. That's about, like, where Pharrell Payne was at. But there's not a lot of depth behind him, and he kind of wants to play at a slower pace and do his thing and kind of plod a bit. If you're going to be smaller than him, you need your bigs to be crazy active and just platoon them as much as you need to do it. But Turkson and Saunders and Washington or whoever else, they should be running around in circles like madmen and see if Biddle will chase them or at least force them into some zone maybe so he can camp out a bit. Just trying to like slow him down in any way you can or tire him out would be great. And having more possessions might be a way to try to do that. But I think they can do it. I feel better about what I saw. Again, the Old Dominion game wasn't any stellar performance against a great team or anything like that, but they're looking like they're figuring some things out. You're starting to see like halves, like full halves of basketball, now maybe 2/3 of a game of basketball, where this looks like a solid Terps team. They have yet to put it together for an entire game, but I don't think this is, again, like a world-beating Oregon team. So I think the Terps could kind of do it in this one. I'm feeling good about them pulling this out. Sunaina, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, said hi in the chat. Hi as well. Appreciate the engagement. Anybody else is welcome to jump in if you got questions or anything you want to talk about here before we close this one out. I won't go crazy long on this one. I mentioned predictions here. The other thing, the over-under is set at 150.5 for this game. I would absolutely take the over in this one. It's probably not the smartest money because Oregon has been under the point spread in 8 of their last 10 games. But the Terps are giving up a lot of points. The Terps give up 78.8 points per game. That's 308th in Division I basketball. So the Terps are going to let people score, and if this is a faster-paced game, you probably score more. So I would lean into that if I were Maryland and just kind of hope for the best here that you can win them in like a high-scoring, sloppy, up-and-down track meet. That would be my bet. Last thing, the Terps field goal defense right now, they're allowing 46.1% from the field. That is 299th in Division I basketball. They've played I think the 12th best strength of schedule according to KenPom, or according to Net, excuse me. So like they've played good teams. This is not a great Oregon team, so hopefully that comes back down to earth here a little bit, and the Terps can pull this one out. Let me know in the comments what you think. I always want to hear from you guys on where we're at with this game, and as always, we'll be back after this one with a recap. Just programming announcement here. It probably will not be immediately after the game. My wife's coming with me to this game again too, so I'll wait till we get back home and maybe not do something live from the arena, and I'll do it later that night. Unless it's some crazy barn burner of a game and the Terps win some amazing performance in dramatic fashion, then maybe we'll try to get on here quick after the fact. As always, thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate you guys. Again, hit that like button for us on YouTube if you can. Happy New Year. Go Terps, and let's see if we can start 2026 off better than they finished most of December of 2025. Until next time, fear the turtle. Fear the podcast. Fear everybody.